Hi, this is Professor Carol Siri Johnson, and this is a demonstration of Camtasia Relay. The Camtasia Relay box, that's it right there. If you want, you can start out by setting up a webcam and speaking into it. Camtasia Relay will record whatever is on your desktop. Remember, you have to be inside the NJIT VPN, Virtual Private Network, using the Cisco client, which is more stable than the Easy Online client. So you're going to have to download and install Cisco also. So once you have this running, you can start your PowerPoint like this. And a trick that I always use when starting PowerPoint presentations, instead of searching for the correct pull-down key, you just hit F5. This comes in very handy during conferences. I decided to give a little talk on what engineering is. And you probably never think about this because you're in engineering school and it's all around you, so it seems like water in the ocean to a fish. But in reality, engineering is historically somewhat new profession. And I've given a couple talks on this to various societies, and this is one of them, pared down quite a bit. What got me started on studying all of this was I was analyzing these books, The Transactions of the American Institute of Mining Engineers, which goes back to the 1870s or the 1880s. And I was looking at the articles and who they were written by, and actually making a database. And in the database, I found that the initials after people's names, which we usually read as being degrees, were things that I didn't recognize, like EM, AC, FRS, which I know is now the Fellow of the Royal Society, FGS, Fellow of the Geological Society, USN, US Navy. A few profs were listed, but KM, what's that? EM, what's that? MICE, I didn't know what these various degree designations were. Moreover, I noticed that there were a lot of people who I knew were professors who didn't use any initials after their name. So it was a quandary, and I started researching it. Well, I found that the first professional societies, such as the American Society of Civil Engineering, which started in 1852, were the ones who granted the degree designations after names. So the first engineers had degrees that were designated by professional societies, not by colleges. Part of the reason for this was at this point there weren't many engineering colleges. In 1862, there was 6 colleges devoted to engineering. In 1872, the number had already jumped to 70. It wasn't until 1905 that there were enough colleges to take over sort of the degree granting rights from the professional associations. The standards for the professional societies were very high. You had to have been a supervisor in the profession for 5 years, after which point you were able to have the initials CE, civil engineer, after your name. And if you had a college diploma, it was only equal to 2 of those 5 years of service. These are some of the first colleges that taught engineering and science. Engineering and science had a hard time making it into colleges at the beginning because colleges such as Harvard University didn't want the Lawrence Scientific School. The teachers who were already there looked down on it as science not being an important enough subject to study. And the reason for this is because science actually didn't even exist until around the middle of the 19th century as a word for a profession. Prior to that, scientists were called natural philosophers. So it was new. Engineering was also new. These were new things that people began to study. And in colleges, they were still teaching Greek and Latin. So changes had to occur before these things could be entered into the educational system. The early engineering colleges, in 1860 there were only 4. These are colleges of just engineering. In 1870 there were 17. 1 year later 41, 70, and by 1880 there were 85. So you see they were growing very quickly. This is at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. The earliest one was West Point, and then RPI quickly thereafter. That was in New York, MIT, and these are some of the other earliest ones. And then of course the most important one began in 1881. Okay, at the end of your PowerPoint presentation, if you're going to use any sources besides your own words or any pictures from the internet or whatever, have a works cited page like this. You don't have to stay on it long. You can click right out of it and go back to whatever it is you want to show. Or if you want to just show the PowerPoint without showing yourself at all, you can do that too. You can show whatever is on your computer screen with Camtasia Relay, but remember, you must be inside the Cisco VPN, and it's a little buggy. I've already had one upload fail because of who knows what. So now I'm going to try to upload this one, see what happens. Good luck.